So now we're going to talk about the best way to save screen real estate. And that is by having your images as really small thumbnails that you can click on and you get this overlay pop up of a larger version of the image. And included in this, you can also have a spot to be able to put some text so you could give information about the image, and you get the option to be able to navigate through and keep looking at the whole image gallery, much larger than you would see them on the page as thumbnails, and then close it out whenever you want, and you can jump and go to like different galleries. All right, so this is done with what's called jQuery plugin, and it's specifically the jQuery plugin Lightbox. So if you look over at the W3 schools, and I'm under tutorials, under JavaScript we see Learn jQuery. That's what we're talking about here. So jQuery is what's called a JavaScript library. It's a lot easier to learn than JavaScript because you get to use keywords like click and hide, and all you need to do is on your page have a link to the reference for this JavaScript library, and the web page sees the word click and hide, then it goes to the link and it basically unfolds the JavaScript language where it's being stored at the library. So a little bit confusing to understand without doing the whole thing. What we're not going to be jumping into jQuery at this moment. What we're going to be looking at is what's called the jQuery plugin. So that's basically where someone writes a little bit of code for you. I'm going to go to the jQuery site, and so if you're right here on jQuery, and you can go to a list of their plugins, and so this is someone who's writing the jQuery for you, and basically you can download the code and you just have to figure out how to implement it on your web page. So for example, if I go to animation, these are all the things that you see on web pages that look like interactive, like a carousel, an image carousel. So you see images that are spinning or just constantly scrolling. And a lot of them allow you to just check them out by viewing the demo. It'll take you to a demo page. So here I can see what this one looks like, this Lightbox gallery. I get a plus a magnifying and I can click through the images. So this is very similar to the one that we're going to use. And you are welcome to go to the jQuery website and to look at some of these other plugins. Again, I'll just go back. So first you choose what kind you would like. Are you looking for something that's a slider, a scroll, something that's animation? And then you can go through these. And basically the scenario is always going to be that you are going to get a folder. Let me just find ours. A folder that you're going to unzip and, or sorry, that you would download and unzip, and this is where the jQuery would be. So that's kind of where we are now. I have already picked the jQuery for you guys to practice, and I downloaded it, and now I'm zipping it and giving it to you guys, and it's called jQuery Lightbox. So over here in Dreamweaver, I'm already at this stage. I've gone to Site, New Site. I named this one jQuery Lightbox. I'm going to call it Practice, and I am pointing it to that folder, the jQuery Lightbox folder, okay, which I have in my web design class. All right, so now I can open it up over here, and let's talk about what's in these folders. Well, I guess first let's open the index page, and I can have this scrolled up to the top and look at the code here as we're looking through what's in the other folders. All right, so there's a folder called CSS, and if I open it up, there is a CSS file in it. So we've been writing our CSS on the same page, on the same as our HTML page, but you could have your CSS located on a different page. And if we look at the page that came with this, their index page, we see that they are actually linking to that CSS file right here. So this line here is linking to that CSS file. So we need to keep this folder. This folder will need to go into our site if once we'll get to that stage where we're talking about copying all of this and putting it into our own site so we can get it to work. But for right now, I want to point out just like what do you absolutely need and what are things that you don't have to have, you can switch out. So we need that folder. Gallery 2, however, you don't need. This is just where I put some images for being able to practice with this. So Gallery 2, you could have called a different name, and this would be your own images in here. Images, however, you do need, and it does need to say images, which is why I called my folder Gallery, not Images. These are the images you saw when you do the little, when it pops up, and it allows you to go to next or back or close. These are all little GIFs. So these images have to be included. The JS, this also has to be included. This is actually that library that I was saying makes it work. And if we look over here in the script that comes with this page, we can see that there are two lines that are pointing to this folder, the JS folder, and one is pointing to jQuery.js, that's this file, and the other one is pointing to jQuery Lightbox 0.5, that's this file here. So all of these things actually needed to be included, as well as these scripts. Photos, again, this could be called anything. These are just simply images that were brought in so that way you could have stuff to practice with. But this folder could be called something else, and these images will get replaced. Again, I'm just not calling it images because they have a folder called images, and I don't want to store mine in there because it'll get messy. Okay, so now just looking at the code over here again. So when I want to make my own page, let's talk about what needs to get copied and pasted. So obviously their title says jQuery Lightbox. That would be replaced with something appropriate to your page. This line here, line number 7, this needs to get copied. All of this would need to get copied. These are the things that are linking it to the files in our JavaScript folder, and this is what makes the jQuery work. And then here, this script to closing script also needs to get copied. So this is telling the browser, hey, I'm using some JavaScript on the page, right? Just like this tells the browser I'm using CSS. And inside here, the $sign stands for jQuery. So we have jQuery, and then we have this line here that says function, which just says run this function down here. And what the function is saying is if you have a div with the ID of gallery, so remember hashtag stands for ID, then run the lightbox. And that's really all that we need to be able to get this to work. All right, so in the next video, I'm going to take you through the steps of how do you set up your own div with the images and get the lightbox to work.